Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again. Hope you're doing great. Today we're going to be diving into a very specific subject. We're going to be talking about flight plans and interpreting them with SimBrief. Most of us use SimBrief, that's a fact, and most of us just import the flight plan directly to the aircraft that we're going to be using, and we just kind of automatically load everything without paying too much attention to the details that are provided in that such flight plan. So if you are new to flight sim and you don't know how to read an OFP, or if you're just one of those that usually just imports everything automatically and doesn't really pay attention to it, you might want to stick around for this video. And if you enjoy, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That is our goal. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Alrighty, so as you can see here, we have generated a flight from Madeira to Lisbon, Lima Papa Mike Alpha to Lima Papa Papa Tango with the AIRTAXI call sign. If we take a look at the top right here, you will see a View PDF button. This will give you access to the actual OFP, to the actual operational flight plan for the flight that you just generated. And this is where you get all the details, all the good information and valuable information for your flight. You have a summary in the SimBrief page, but you get much more detail, and honestly it's a lot more immersive. Let's take a look at the key aspects of the OFP. I don't want to dive into every single page, every single detail, because that's going to take ages, and most of us in the flight sim are not going to be using that at all. Okay, so let's dive into what really matters. So right at the top you will see your flight number, the date of the flight, the departure and the destination, the aircraft that you're going to be using, the registration, and the time that this OFP was generated, aka released, and date. At the center here, which is also important, you get your departure information and your arrival information regarding times. So the time that you see here is your scheduled pushback time. Right next to it you have your scheduled takeoff time. And at the departure one, you got your estimated touchdown time and your estimated in time, so on blocks time, once you arrive at the gate. Over here to the right, you have your cost index for this flight. This is a fixed number. At AirTaxi, we usually use 15. This basically creates a relation between the usage of fuel and the speed that you cruise at. There's a bunch of calculations involved, but all companies have their own cost indexes, and that is a very complex calculation behind it that I don't want to get into right now, but we could do in another video if you wish to. You can drop a comment and I'll try and dive into that subject as well. Now we also have your ground distance. This ground distance is basically always in nautical miles, and it's the ground distance for the planned route. So in this case, it is the ground distance covering all the points on that, on the waypoints on that flight. You have your air distance, which is significantly lower than your ground distance, and that is because this one is corrected for the effect of headwinds and tailwinds. So it grabs the ground distance and then it does the calculation taking into consideration the headwinds and the tailwinds. On top of that, you got your great circle distance, which is just GC right here, which is also considerably lower than the ground distance because it is a direct line between those 2 points. It doesn't take into consideration the waypoints, it's just a direct line considering the circle of the globe, and yeah, it's considerably lower. Right below that you got your average winds, which are very important to keep in mind, and their direction as well. It's just an average throughout the whole flight. It's not defined per phase, it's just a whole average. You also have your average fuel flow in kilos per hour, which is pretty important to keep in mind, and it can help you diagnose some issues during the flight. Moving over here to the left, you have your maximum and your estimated weight. Now we're talking about your takeoff weight, your landing weight, and your zero fuel weight. These are figures that you should keep in mind when flying any aircraft because you don't want to exceed any of these values. And you, right at the top of your OFP, you have that indication. So for this aircraft that we're flying, the A320, our maximum takeoff weight is going to be 78 tons. This flight plan is generated in kilos, so it's going to be in tons, right? So 66 is going to be our maximum landing weight, and our zero fuel weight is going to be a maximum 62.5. As you can see, every estimated value is below that, so we are Gucci. Good stuff. Right below, you got your destination alternate. So in case we need to divert when arriving to Lisbon, which airport are we going to be diverting to? It's going to be Faro, Lima Papa, Foxtrot Romeo. Right below that, you got your planned step climbs for the flight. Usually gives you your initial flight level. In this case, we're going to be flying throughout the whole route at 340. So flight level 340, which is 34,000 feet. Let's scroll down a bit and take a look at the planned fuel. So we got a bunch of indications here that we need to take into consideration, and fuel is one of the most important things. I would say right next to weight, fuel is a very important thing to keep in mind in your flight. You don't want to run out of fuel. Trust me, it has happened before. So let's talk about the trip. Okay, the trip fuel is the required fuel that you will need to fly from point A to point B. So in this case, from Madeira to Lisbon. However, we usually add contingency fuel, and this is legally required. The amounts can vary between companies. You can set a percentage contingency, you can set a time contingency. In AirTaxi, we are playing with fire, if you wanna put it like that. And we are making a 5-minute contingency fuel. We might need to change this in the future because 5 minutes is really low for a contingency fuel calculation, but it could be 5%, for example, and it will be 5% of your trip fuel. This is just safety margins. Keep in mind that everything, when it comes to airline operations, it is made and applied with while taking safety into consideration. You also have your alternate fuel. This is the fuel that is required for you to proceed from your destination to your selected alternate airport. So in this case, you need about 1.7, 1.8 if you want to round it up, about 40 minutes of fuel to divert from Lisbon at the point that you are flying over Lisbon to Faro. And then the one that you never want to get into, your final reserve fuel. It usually gives you between 30 to 45 minutes of fuel. In this case, it's gonna be equal to 1.1, or if you want to round it up to 1.2 final reserve. If you do, just keep this in mind, if you do hit these figures, if you are flying and you go below this final reserve fuel, you will need to declare an emergency. You are not supposed to get into the final reserve fuel at any time. So if you do get into final reserve, keep in mind you will be declaring an emergency. This right below is pretty self-explanatory, is your minimum takeoff fuel. It means that in order to take off, once you're lining up at the runway, or just before the when you're holding short of the runway ready for takeoff, just take a look at the figures, take a look at the amount of fuel that you have on board. If it is below 6.7, I always like to round it up to the nearest. So if it is below 6.8, I will have to taxi back to the gate and get some more fuel because it's not going to be enough. Now moving over to another important part of your OFP, page number 2. So page number 2, we're talking about the route. So your actual route, the actual route you're going to be flying. The full route description that you should be checking on your MCDU, FMC, whatever you're flying, it is generated right here. And this includes your departure, ICAO code, the runway that you are supposed to take off from or scheduled to take off from, your SID as well, and then the points. So the first point, direct to Narta, direct to Lovup, and then your star, your arrival, the destination, ICAO code, and the runway of the destination that you are supposed to be landing at. And the more you go down the page, the more detail you're going to be finding in those informations that were summarized at the top. For example, if we look at the weight, you'll see exactly the figures that you're going to be loading up to the aircraft. So your number of passengers, the amount of cargo, the payload, the zero fuel weight, the actual fuel that's going to be on board, the takeoff weight or the estimated takeoff weight, and then your estimated landing weight as well. You also have all the information regarding the times that we already saw on top, including your block time. So from the moment that you are off the gate and into the gate, that's going to be 1 hour and 52 minutes. Let me know if I missed something important in this operation flight plan. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe. We really want to get to 3,000 subscribers this year, so we got a lot of work to do. So let's keep it up. And as always, safe flights to everyone. See ya!